So, good afternoon friends, I think all of you are up. Good afternoon. Correct. What is the new normal? They say something is the new normal. What is the new normal?
24/7
Hacking is the new normal, not 24/7. We have been into the 24/7 mode for quite some time by now. The call centers brought us into 24/7. How does hacking take place? Any idea? I'm just creating the whole ecosystem which is required to put some fear and scare and some phobia in you by the time you are out of this session. Cyber Surakshit Bharat. So that is what we intend to create. And first and foremost, I will thank governments now and all the organizers for having invited me and given me this opportunity to chair this session. So how does hacking happen? Somebody hacks into a system, gets into the window and does something. Right. There is an air conditioning system, right? From the air conditioning system, some other system in Walmart was hacked. What was that system?
Sorry, I can hear you.
There is an air conditioning system. From the air conditioning system, there is some system which has been hacked in Walmart. Correct. See, the whole complexity of the whole thing is that through an air conditioning system you can reach the point of sale. Correct. In a system of cryptocurrency which is permanent, which has permanence and immutability, you can get into the whole exercise through a keylogger. And that is how your South Korean and Japanese cryptocurrency exchanges are hacked. What we intend to safeguard or protect in Cyber Surakshit Bharat, now that we are enmeshed into the digital mud in a manner which we had not imagined a couple of years back through smart cities, digital India, and lots of other systems, GEM and the like. So there is a digital infrastructure which is getting created, and sooner than later we will have to protect that digital infrastructure. That digital infrastructure, which has already been defined by Dr. Mukdesh Chandra, there is a critical infrastructure, which means computer resource, the incapacitation or destruction of which shall have debilitating impact on national security, economy, public safety and health. So that is the back end of. So that is the back end of all the operations which we run. In the US, out of their $90 billion budget on technology, 75% goes in the maintenance of the legacy systems. So where the systems are today, where it intends to reach, there is a huge gap. The GDPR, if you talk of the data protection side, GDPR came into war or got implemented on 25th of May this year. And that brings a totally new data protection regime across the globe. Only 13% of the Indian companies are compliant with the GDPR. And anybody who is not compliant with the GDPR over a period of time can get into a penalty of 4% of their annual gross turnover globally. So that is what is there. We are facing right there on our face. End to end, from our networking infrastructure to software which you use to your data centers, I think everything can be hacked. And it is being hacked also. 97% of the Fortune 500 companies have been hacked. What about the other 3%? They don't know that they have been hacked. What is the breach-to detection time? Any idea what is the breach-to detection time in our police parlance? Detection means that we have caught the culprits, we have recovered the property, we have completed the investigation and we have charge sheeted the case. But when it comes to computer crimes or cyber crimes, what is the breach-to detection? Detection only means that you have been able to find out that a breach has taken place. And the gap between the breach and detection is only 210 days as per the research of FireEye. which means the perpetrator and the criminal have been together under the same roof 210 days after commission of the crime, and the perpetrator knows what he is doing and the victim does not know. Out of the 250,000 documents which were stolen by Edward Snowden, only 32 were redacted. And that has changed completely the face of this earth. Critical infrastructure, you start from Estonia, that 15-day war which was referred to. Estonia learned from that particular attack. And today they have one of the best cyber security research centers in the world in Tallinn. NASDAQ has come to Tallinn to do a research on blockchain technology. Government services, 3,000 government services are being provided by the Estonian government. And you can register a company or get a citizenship of Estonia from 123 countries worldwide. So this is the broad framework in which we operate, the services which we provide, and the complexity which we are in. So to discuss the nitty-gritty of Cyber Surakshit Bharat in a completely enmeshed digital world where cyber will be the word. Cyber is the word. We are in Industrial Revolution 4.0. So there is nothing cyber separate, nothing physical separate. Cyber physical is where we have already reached. So we will get into the discussion straight away, and first and foremost, so I would invite Mr. Purushottam Sharma, Additional DG from MP, to give his presentation or views on Cyber Surakshit Bharat, how to achieve and aspire the place where we intend to reach. And I would request Mr. Sharma to restrict his presentation to around 7-8 minutes.
Close to हो ले ही रहे हैं, close हो रहे हैं भाई.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is basically an important area. I will only make a speech based on my experience associated with so many IT implementation police. I will be talking with perspective of police and more so with Madhya Pradesh government, what IT initiative we have taken and what has been our experience and why we want cyber security to be established. I had an opportunity and proud privilege of working with NCRB as a chairman for National Automated Fingerprint Identification System, which we call it an AFIS system. Now, to give you the background, I am the one officer who involved in IT implementation right from the time when there was an application called CCIS, which was the first application which came for a police implementation. Then we had gone to the version which is called a CCIS MLE. Then it was scrapped and we came down to the CPA. And finally we have landed at the final version which is called as the CCTNS. This CCTNS has got T, which is called for the tracking. And very strongly I have always spoken that in order to make CCTNS as a success, we have to have more emphasis on tracking of criminals. The tracking of criminals pan-India, and for which we really wanted to have a very robust system which can track criminal pan-India by way of fingerprint. We have various mode of tracking, identifying. We can have iris, we can have face, we can have, but fingerprint is the most authentic and most proven system we have got. And we have been capturing fingerprint on with the black ink. So it is historically we have a record. So I was basically working and made a research to find out how the fingerprint identification has been working and what kind of implementation was done by police department in the country. I have studied various systems. CMC, NEC, COGENT, this, that. I have studied whatever the system which were existing in the country. Now there were surprising things. There was a system which was implemented in my state, in Madhya Pradesh, and the neighboring state, Andhra Pradesh, and there was no interoperability between two states. Even without having, even then, both the systems are alike. And when I studied the same system in Maharashtra, I was surprised that there was no handshaking between Mumbai and Pune. Then I found out there's something seriously which is, has been wrong, either in implementation or in an application which the police has selected. Then I came to the conclusion that these systems had got their own protocols. They were not standard protocols. And hence, the protocols were varying from system to systems. That was the time when I raised the voice. I said there has to be standardization of police application. Unless we have a standard police applications, we cannot rather have seamless data transfer in the real time. And now, when the criminals have got no boundary, when the cyber crimes are really happening in large number, we have to have a system which is seamlessly operated pan-India. And also we can have interactions with foreign countries also, foreign systems also. So I came down that we must have the NIST system, NIST, and I really worked and made up compulsory to the whole state and whole country by bringing out a kind of model RFP for that. And we have circulated a standard specifications for this. So this is my first experience that we did not have the same standard specifications, and hence our applications were failing. And that was the reason why, despite the fact that we have got 800,000 digital fingerprints of criminals, we were not able to track effectively pan-India basis. Let me tell you the example why I strongly supported this system. There was a crime which happened in Madhya Pradesh, and I was heading the organization called SCRB in the state. The accused had no traces of evidence left on the site. The victim was murdered by crushing the head using a huge stem, and by which the death occurred. And we could only get a smudged fingerprint on the stone. That was the only evidence we had got. We picked up that fingerprint, and I asked my expert to develop this latent print and match it with the database which I had. Incidentally, when I put it to the matching, I found out the one match. And the match was happening for a accused or a criminal which was locked up in Indore. And Indore and the place of incidents were 600 kilometers apart. When I sent it, the list of probable accused to the superintendent of police, he says, "Sir, this is not possible. The man is locked up in Indore jail and my district is so away, it is not possible." I say, "You try it." And once I given him so much of stress that you try it, that accused was called from jail and he was interrogated. It was found out that he was left on parole. He visited that spot and murdered this man and went away to the jail. So that is how I mentioned to every police officer that fingerprint is an effective way of tracking criminals. So this is one of the incidents on which I supported, and then in the NCRB also, I made it a point that in order to make the CC10S effective and useful, we have to track criminals. Now coming to data security, this was another aspect which I vehemently, very strongly, rather mentioned to all the authorities that we must have a very secure database. If we have a database of criminals, because we have database of fingerprint in which we have the images of fingerprints and we have biometrics or other demographic things. If they are lost and if there is some penetrations by foreign agency, we will be losing a very vital information. So I said we have to have secure database with police department. And mind you, there was no solutions which were existing at the time when I was heading it. And I was the first person who said that there has to be a third party audit to be performed on a database so that we can just make out that where are the vulnerable points for us and what would be the rectification for the vulnerabilities. Now coming back to the cyber crimes, which is the area which I am really focusing on, and I have also very recently written a book on cybercrime titled as Cybercrime and Digital Evidences. This is an area which is of a tremendous concern to all police officers today. And whatever IPC crime we have got, there is always an involvement of a digital evidence. All kind of evidence has been converted to the digital files, so there is always an involvement of digital evidences. My colleague has mentioned about protected system. Mind you, there has been a crime in my state in which a criminal was caught and he was left on bail because all IT Act crimes, they do not have bigger sentence. Then I read out, found out that this case was committed using or the affected system was the official system, the government system. Then I said the government system are the protected computers. And the notification was done by the state, and by the protected system, if the crime is being committed on the protected system, the crime really goes and the quantum of punishment goes very high. From 2 years it becomes 10 years, and from bailable it becomes non-bailable offences. So the government has to declare all the systems which the government has as a protected system. Now, when I study the cyber crime, they are rapidly increasing. I made a case study because I have been teaching on how the OTP crimes are happening, OTP frauds are happening. There is a businessman of Pune. He found that his mobile phone stopped functioning on Friday night. So he thought that I have another phones, there's no necessity or no emergency to change the system or to change the SIM card because Saturday and Sunday were the holidays. On Monday, when he brought another SIM and opened his own mobile phone, he found out that nearly 25 lakhs of money has been taken or siphoned away from his account. It was to his, he was stunned and dazed what to do on this particular. Then he lodged a complaint to Pune police. The Pune police reluctantly, just registered the inquiry and then finally gone for registration of fraud case. And during the investigation it was found out, then on Friday when his mobile phone ceased working, there is a band of criminals. He got the SIM assigned, giving the fake documents, and on the basis of the SIM, they transferred the money by e-transfer, e-banking. The OTP which came on his SIM came to the criminal SIM. The transfer of money was performed. Once the old SIM has been changed to the new SIM by the real owner, he came to know that the whole thing has happened. Now bank has taken a statement. I'll just finish it. Bank has taken a plea that we have given the OTP and OTP has been confirmed by us, so we are not liable. However, the RBI says that all banks have to return the money in all cases where fraud has been committed, because they have to have the new, very secure or robust system for cyber security. So these frauds are taking place. The digitization happened so much, and the cyber crimes are rapidly happening. This is a time when we have to secure our database. This is a time when we have to empower or make police force more rather familiar, or the more and more training has to be given in the direction to the cyber crimes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. In the days to come, the police force will not have one dedicated cyber crime unit also. I think the whole police force have to be upgraded to become a cyber police force or a physical police force or a combination of two, whichever way you look at it. Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for giving very nitty-gritty of a couple of cases which has enlightened all of us. And what he has actually emphasized are 2-3 very basic points. One is the interoperability. So when interoperability is not there into the picture, literally you cannot do anything. There's somebody who's trying to integrate a couple of databases. So first he said there are 23 databases. After 6 months, he said there are 3,800 databases. I told him after 3 years, you'll tell me that there are 3 lakh databases. And most of the databases don't talk to each other. So that is where we stand. The second point was regarding cyber security audit. So if you don't have audit, you don't reach anywhere. And for any system to be robust and functional, you need standards. We don't have anything of the NIST type in this country. You don't have uniformity, you don't have certification, and you don't have audit. So there you are, from a very management technology blended point of view. And the third thing which he talked about was the IT Act and what IT Act has done. What IT Act has done in the last 15-20 years is conviction in 15 to 20 cases, of which most have been convicted under the Indian Penal Code and not the IT Act. So that is where we stand, and we are moving towards a data protection regime. What GDPR they have been talking about, that GDPR needs around 75,000 data protection officers across the face of this earth. We have not been able to get a couple of good cyber security professionals. From where we get these 75,000 data protection officers, I have absolutely no answer. So this is where we stand. A CISO's job is something like a Damocles sword which is hanging over your head. CISO himself does not know the job description which has been assigned to him, and finally his neck will go if something happens. Now to discuss further on this, somebody who is consulting to one of the major projects of Government of India, the Passport Seva, Sri Golok Kumar Simli, Principal Consultant and Chief Technology Officer, Passport Seva, will address you all.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Let me first congratulate Mr. Gautam Adhikari and his team for inviting me out. To my mind, when we talk about digital infrastructure, cyber Surakshit Bharat, cyberspace as a whole, we are every day talking about cyber threats, advanced threats emanating from various resources, various sites. Now, how do we achieve that? Probably many of the government departments, including external affairs in Passport Seva, visa issuance system, which we have tried to achieve. Now, when I look back and see, again to my mind, there are 3-4 things which comes very kind of a preliminary kind of assessment one is to do. And these 3-4 things are nothing but to start with the infrastructure you are going to create, which is called today digital infrastructure. Now, if you see the digital infrastructure side of it, today, other than the periphery which are located here and there, which you call endpoints, everything is being driven by data centers, right? Whether it is your own traditional data centers or maybe it is a cloud-based data centers. So informations are being driven from the data centers, be it a traditional data center or a cloud-based data centers. Now that's the major digital infrastructure for us, rest apart the endpoints. Now, while are we creating this kind of a digital infrastructure, 3-4 things you have to be very careful, saying that is that the digital infrastructure I am creating for, do I really need the way the data will flow into the data storage center or the data center or the cloud data centers? Meaning to say that, do I really understand my data points? When I say data points flowing from the cyberspace, data points within your own stakeholders, who are your stakeholders, data points within your own employees maybe. If you can visualize that, you can create that visibility, one of your job is done to protect your digital infrastructure, what you are going to create. And that's the primitive thing you should start with whenever you are thinking of any big project, big voluminous kind of schemes, anything of that sort. The second part is, once you have done that, now the data, always we say that the biggest risk is the information is always there to exploit. If you have a hardware, you can lock it, keep it in a room, but the information is flowing. Information is flowing in a light speed. Here and there the information is flowing. Now when the information is actually flowing here and there comes the defining of, we call cyber security policy. One side you say information security policy, one side say information security risk, you say. And many times I find that even you have gone ahead with the full-blown project, but not even done your preliminary risk assessment of the data you are going to collect, or the data you are going to harvest, or the data you are going to exploit, or the data you are going to share with multiple agencies. Have you ever done a preliminary risk assessment of the data? No, absolutely not. Many a time I find we do not do that. We completely miss that part. And then, after collecting the data, even then further we go down and start harvesting it without even knowing that the actual user is fully aware of the data which you are going to harvest or which you are going to profile it for further use. And that is the major area we miss. And the crux of the matter is, while we do that, the compliances, the regulations, the acts we have, the laws we have, those are probably outdated, many outdated. Probably I can give example of IT Act, which is 2008. I can give example of Cyber Law, which is 2013. We are in 2021. How is that those act, policies being framed by us is going to have the today's scenario we have? Now that is another major area. Probably whenever we are defining this kind of a digital platform, digital infrastructure, huge volume of data collecting for the citizens, for their use, for our own use. So we completely miss those points unless we are analyzing on those points, unless we are harping on those points, and then unless we are saying that, is that I am in a position if tomorrow somebody questions, like my predecessors were saying that today country like entire Europe has enabled GDPR, and GDPR has given so much teeth to the users or the citizen as a whole. They can break the entire government department or the corporation as a whole anywhere. And probably in India also we are going to witness the same thing. Sri Krishna Committee is already working on the line of GDPR, the same data protection law, same data privacy law. So that is one of the major area I find we have to act, and we have to work towards it if we are looking for a cyber Surakshit Bharat. The second area which I again find missing is the awareness and the knowledge and the skill set we need, right? If I look into a government department, including probably us, today how have we taken our project, the Passport Seva project, where probably I was needing a workforce of around 4,000 to 5,000 people extra. That we have partnered with some private agency, and that's how we have taken up. Now if I am partnering with a private agency for such critical task of a government, do I really understand that, do I have that workforce to have the complete supervisory and control when it comes to protecting the data and information? And believe me, we are running this project now almost 6 years, in a partnership mode, but then there is no issue. So these are the 2-3 things I find now you must take care and then look forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simply. You've been talking about very relevant things, and all of us are interested that the passport server project runs in a manner it should, in the benefit of security of all of us and the country. There is no denying the fact that there are private players who are a part of our critical infrastructure. And there is nothing wrong also for private players to be a part of critical infrastructure. 85% of the critical infrastructure in the US is maintained by the private players. Now, how you have a control over them, that is what is critical, and how we secure the data between them and between us. Today, all data is supposed to be of the same quality or value or security classification. So unless we have a data classification, it becomes extremely difficult to put enough of resources for the data which is critical to us. The life cycle of data is unknown to us. Data creation, one click of Google creates nearly 7 groups of data. Then the transmission, then the storage, then lots of other things. So data life cycle we are not aware of. And that is the life cycle which you are supposed to track in GDPR. Every single transaction of the data which belongs to the European citizen has to be accounted for. So that is where we stand, and same thing happens for the government also. The government agencies also, they face the same law. Data privacy, risk assessment, security audit, we have been talking and again. GST is something which concerns all of us, concerns the country, and its health. I think on that depends the health of the nation also. Now I'll request the Anand Pandey, CS of GSTN, to address the gathering. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. So today we are talking about cyber security and how to make the infrastructure more secure. When I stepped into this hall, and many the panelists they have talked about the cyber security. So something was going in the back of my mind, that I was thinking that probably this is for the first time I am in so close proximity of so many police officers. Probably every day I mean, being a cyber security professional, we are very closely working with the cyber attacks than this proximity. So you all are aware that the GST system is handling the very critical data of nation, which is of financial importance. Not only the financial data, we are handling not only the financial data, but the PII data of the taxpayers. The security and privacy of all the taxpayers and associated stakeholders is very important, and it is embedded in the key principles of the GST system. So, by design, the principles are designed and the infrastructure is created. So many security tools and technologies are deployed, but only merely identifying the tools or the technologies is not sufficient, because there has to be some monitoring, and that monitoring should be done by the well-skilled and the appropriate people. So to monitor the entire information which is flowing in and out of GST system, we have a Security Operations Center which is operating from Chennai, and every day we experience, like any other system which is exposed to the critical system, which is exposed to the internet, we experience a lot of attacks. So far we could restrict all those attacks at the perimeter. Nothing is could perforate it to the next level. So by saying that while deploying and maintenance of such a huge, complex and critical national importance system, we are following some principles. Few of them are very basic. So mostly mostly driven by the say industry standards such as ISO 27001, which is for information security, 22301, which is for BCPDR, business continuity, and 20,000, which is for ITSMS. In addition to that, there are NCIPC guidelines, we refer those guidelines, then RBI guidelines, IT Act, all those things we refer to perform day-to-day activities. We have created our own cyber security or integrated management system framework under which all these systems are being performed. But as Gaurav and others said, have already mentioned that yes, the information security needs identification of the information, the protection of the information, continuous monitoring, auditing. But we are now moving in an era where the IoT, GDPR or any other such buzzwords are adding more complexity to it. I think the cyber security in coming days will revolve around 3-4 words, which is the speed, the threat intelligence, accuracy of the cyber attacks, identifying cyber attacks, and the quick response. So we are also in GSTN working towards all these keywords. We are coming, there are various security initiatives we are taking in terms of not only relying on the security operations command center, we are taking it to the next level of security analytics and threat hunting. There are other initiatives also which are in the areas of security governance and the overall management, fraud detection. So I think with this I think these are the initiatives which we are taking at GSTN. I think similar approach should be there to protect any critical system. With this highlight, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pandit. His GST is certainly a very humongous and a complex ecosystem, and the nature of data which they keep. I think if we have not been hacked so far, they would certainly be one of the potential targets. So the nature of data which can be translated into money, any data which can be monetized, is the data worthwhile. The data which cannot be monetized, absolutely nobody will touch that data. And if lots of our systems have not been hacked today, might be they are not worthy of hacking. So whichever way you take it, there is another big challenge to cyber security. What's the biggest challenge to cyber security? Not that we have been talking about so far. What do you treat as the biggest challenge to cyber security? Is the lack of quality professionals. Same as medical negligence happens to be the 10th largest killer in the world. Same way lack of cyber security professionals is more like a termite sort of a thing, eating into the cyber security vitals in this country or anywhere abroad. And the other factor which you don't look into, we have been talking about lots of things, but we are not talking about the insider threat. Insider threat is a very big threat. It's very difficult to find out. It's very difficult to accept and suspect somebody who is sitting right next to you. You are not doing that audit of anybody from top to bottom. It can be anybody. People can be bought and sold. Edward Snowden, Bradley Manning, Christopher Weil. The guys who have been inside the system are the guys who have ripped apart the system. The last, Sri Rahul Agarwal, partner cyber security, PwC India. But not the least.
Good afternoon. So I think last 1.5 hours we heard the type of attacks which are happening and how they are going to impact us. So I think if I have to summarize, in the morning DGNAC was saying now our dependency is high, the entire Andhra Pradesh is running on e-office, there's no paperwork. As we move on using technology, all this is going to happen because from a technology perspective, there's a lot of convenience, advantage we get in, but there's a risk which is associated with us, with all these technologies coming in. We studied somewhere about 60 different countries, what are they doing to strengthen their cyber security for the country and how they have structured their programs. Basically, if as a country we have to work on cyber Surakshit Bharat or to secure the country, there are 4 broad areas we need to work on. First thing is that how we can protect the critical infrastructure. And I will drill down into what is critical infrastructure, but this is the entire, the central ministries or the state departments, what all need to be done. Second one is how can we create a secure business ecosystem in the country? How the various enterprises, their systems are secured so that the services can be granted. Third, which is secure society. So as a user or as a citizen, if we don't have basic hygiene in place, we don't understand what we are trying to do, we will not be able to secure it. So that's the third component we need to deal with. And obviously there are a number of initiatives each and everyone has to do to secure the country. And the fourth one is how we can build the capacity in the country and the technology, R&D. So these are the 4 pillars. Globally, the government across the globe, they have structured their programs, and each program is multi-year, multi-stakeholder, multi-million-dollar program everyone is running. So first one, if I talk about this critical infrastructure, so there has to be a nodal agency. We heard NTRO is a nodal agency, sir mentioned in the morning, but we need to have capacity and the capability to take care of 1.2 billion population in the country. So one of the speakers mentioned that now it takes 210, that's what sir mentioned, it takes to identify that we are breached. So if that's the case and this person is sitting in one room, it's difficult to identify. So how we can add capacity, capability to a nodal agency and how we can increase the reach. So that's from the nodal agency perspective. The second point in the critical infrastructure is how we can have a legal framework in place. Some of the pieces we have heard, IT Act 2000, then amendments, but how can we have better enforcement? Better enforcement, if we have to do, we have to build the technology with the law enforcement agency. We have to build the skills so that each and every police station can be a cyber police station in the country. So the legal framework around it.
2 more minutes.
Sure. So then the legal, then we're talking about the search, how the search can be done in each and every state, sectoral search or the state search. So that's on the critical infrastructure. Now on the society part to talk about that how can we start the awareness programs in the school? How can we ask the internet service providers to start giving us a clean pipe? How can we ask or enforce the ISPs to create the awareness? So these are the initiatives that we create so that each and every citizen, which is a 1.2 billion citizen in the country, they know that they can share the password, they need to have antivirus in place, their home machine should not have a pirated software. So these are the components we need to drive, and obviously not only the government can do it, so the enterprise has to come in, the NGO has to come in, each and every individual has to come in. The last one is the technology and the capacity building. So the capacity building has to be carried out across various layers from the government ecosystem perspective, enterprise, the cyber professionals in the country, because as a cyber professional I'm doing it for the last 20 years, but the way technology moves in security, it's very difficult to keep a pace. So how we can do that and what type of institutions we can create in the country and at each level. And the last component is the security products. So how now we have I don't know how many of you are aware, but the number of security products which we are creating is not 5 or 10, but each year from a security there are like hundreds of the companies which are coming up, and these are innovative companies with innovative solutions. How we can leverage these solutions to meet our needs and also make them $1 billion companies globally, and then this is a product which can go across the globe. So these are the 4 areas which we believe everyone has to work on to have a secure society. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I wanted to complete in 5 minutes.
Thank you all for completing in time. There is no denying the fact that we are living in fascinating times, and no product is a solution. and no solution is a product. On an average, 28 security products are used by every company. So that is where we stand. You cannot even have a dashboard of the products you handle. You don't realize as to where we have landed in a whirlpool or quicksand. So that is where we are. Security audit, an actionable blueprint, we should know where we intend to, there has to be timeline, and it is a war of attrition. It will go on, it shall go on. Where we position ourselves in a position of strength or in a position of weakness, that we have to decide. We have already pre-decided to be in a digital NMS IoT world. So the next direct corollary to it is